everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So I know I haven't uploaded videos to this channel lately. One of the things that I've been working on while I've not been uploading and working externally is working on my MBA applications. I have some really good news to share. I'll be heading down to Ithaca this fall because I've been accepted into the Cornell Johnson School of Management with a Forte Scholarship of $30,000. I decided to make this video for anybody who would be interested in the MBA application process and sort of walk you through what I did to apply to Cornell and how I got in, basically my stats, and what the application process really was like for me. I think this video would be useful for anybody who's interested in applying for an MBA right now, currently in the process of applying for an MBA, or actually looking towards applying for one next year. So in this video, I'll be breaking down my entire applications from my essays to my interviews to my stats, including my short and long-term goals. I also want to be speaking about why I think my short and long-term goals will tie into what I'm working on currently and why I think they're a good fit for me. So without further ado, let's start off. Let's jump into my stats, and then we can look at my essay and my application as a whole as well. So coming down to my stats, I'm a BITS Pilani graduate, and I've worked at the Bank of Montreal for the past 3 years as a data analyst. During that time period, I have been promoted thrice from a junior analyst to a senior data analyst, and I have extensive experience working in both the tech sector of things and also the business sector. One of the main reasons why I wanted to get an MBA was so that I could further my knowledge in the business realm and really pursue that side in my career. Coming back to the actual stats and what my GMAT score, or in this case GRE score, was, so my GRE score was pretty low, on the lower end of things. It was a 317. And that would pretty much be what I would consider to be the weak point of my application. Not to worry, just because you have a low GRE score doesn't mean that your application is a complete wash. I think that this is something that most applicants get wrong. They believe that if they don't have, the high GRE score for their target schools, or they don't have that GMAT score, they should not even bother applying. I know how competitive MBA applications can be. However, in this case, the most important thing to focus on is really analyzing your strengths and weaknesses. And definitely one of my weaknesses was my test score. And I wanted to make sure that I focus on my strengths and make sure that they carry my application. Now, coming to what I actually focused on in my application, including my strengths, I tried to focus more on my international work experience. I've worked both in the banking and the tech sector of a bank. I've also grown up working in India and the United States and Canada, so I wanted to tie in all of the aspects of my unique background into my essay. And I also included how my work experience would influence my short and long-term goals in the future. So essentially what I did was that I created a story using 3 elements: my background, my work experience, what my short and long-term goals were in the future. Coming to my short-term and my long-term goals, I've noticed that while working in a bank, banks are especially not as great at utilizing data, mainly due to the long-term strategies that it takes at a bank. They're not very effective at utilizing data, and I wanted to go into strategy consulting to develop strategies for banks to be able to effectively utilize their data in the short term. And in the long term, I wanted to use the robust network that I would have and developed while strategy consulting to launch my own strategy consulting firm. These were the main 2 goals that I discussed in my essay. So a pro tip for anybody who's thinking about applying or writing out their essay is essentially focusing on your short and long-term goals and really going back to your resume and your work experience and seeing how those 3 aspects, your short-term goals, your long-term goals, your work experience, all tie in together and create a story that is unique to you. If you focus on these 3 elements, you'd be able to mitigate whatever, I guess you could say, damage from your stats that you can get away from, and focus on your essay being your core strength. Conclusion, I essentially wanted to make sure that I could really get across like who I was as a person through my essays and by communicating and doing well in the interview as well. So after submitting my application, I got an interview invite from Cornell, say that I had been selected for an interview. To prepare for my interview, I looked into a couple of things. I looked into interview debriefs on clearadmit.com and past year questions from gmatclub.com. Both of these websites helped me to effectively prepare for my interview and really get my story straight so that I wouldn't have to think on the spot when someone would ask me a question during my interview. The most important thing I did to prepare for my interview, to create a Word document where I documented both of my short-term goals, my long-term goals, my story, and experiences that I had taken part in my career, especially projects. What I would recommend to anybody who has recently gotten an interview invite or is going for an interview for an MBA, whether it be a job interview or an MBA process interview, is to really create a Word document with specific types of questions, and these are called STAR questions. Situation, task, action, and result. And make sure to really focus on all of those questions and really commit to getting your story straight. Cornell interview was only about 10 to 15 minutes. It wasn't a very long interview. It was just a brief chat with the Cornell AdCom. It was to essentially establish if I was a good quote-unquote fit for Cornell. Now, I've experienced a lot of interviews during this process. I've gotten interview invites from Stern and Michigan Ross as well, and also AGC Paris. And one of the things that was incredibly unique to Cornell was how incredibly personable the interview was. Speaking to the interviewer, they were incredibly kind. They were trying to make sure that you were comfortable. And it was more of a general conversational chat about my goals, my short and long-term goals, and my work experience in general. I was also asked some behavioral questions. What was the most difficult challenge that I faced at work? How did I communicate and manage my coworkers? So it was not just a casual chat. It was some hard-hitting questions where they were trying to essentially establish how serious I was about the program and mainly what I knew about the program as well. When applying to an MBA program, it's really important that you know maybe some of the classes that you might be interested in attending, the clubs, and maybe even look up some professors that you might be interested in learning from. So in conclusion, this was pretty much my experience applying to Cornell specifically. Like I mentioned, the best parts of the MBA application process is to essentially get your story straight. In terms of getting your interviews and your short and long-term goals straight, make sure to sort of prepare like a Word document with all of the questions that you think they might ask, prospective questions. I'll also be making a video about my application process to HEC Paris as well. And I'll be going in detail and discussing my Cornell essay, both of the questions that were asked in the application. It will be a follow-up to this video as well, so please look out for that. If there's any other questions that anybody who's interested in the MBA application process now or in the upcoming years, please write your questions in the comments below. I'm always active on YouTube and I'll be definitely be interested in answering them for sure. And if you like what you've seen so far, please subscribe to my channel, like or comment on my videos. And if you have any ideas or any questions or any videos that you think I should make, please put them in the comments below and I'll try to make them. Thanks so much for watching this video and all my previous videos, and thanks so much for being here on my channel. Bye!